So I guess what I'll say is what I think stammering isn't as much as what I think it is.
Okay.
So I think that it probably isn't as much each problem as what people think, although I do think that it affects people's speech. I think that there's probably something else that's actually happening in the background, which is what's causing some sort of disruption in the flow of the speech. So this could possibly be some sort of anxiety, but I don't think it's a normal sort of anxiety in that it's only related to having to actually speak in that duration. And so I think it can just depend really, but I think that most people think it is an actual speech problem in terms of it's something to do with the mechanics of the speech.
Yeah.
Whereas I think I think a lot of people probably also think that it's something else that's the actual cause, and the speech is simply a physical, well, I'm not sure what the word is, but a physical aspect which comes out because of this other underlying cause.
Do you stammer if you're talking to yourself?
No. And so again, that kind of like shows that there's not really any problem with the speech mechanics itself. It's just something to do when you are in that situation talking to a person.
So do you think this anxiety that you're talking about is in some way related to how you'll be perceived or how you'll be understood by the person that you're talking to?
Well, that's good that you mentioned that, because yes, I think it probably is about how you are perceived to the other person, but I think it's how you feel your speech is perceived to the other person. So there's absolutely no anxiety whatsoever about being in the same room as another person or being in that environment with the other person. So there's no anxiety there. So I think it must be some sort of underlying anxiety about how the other person will perceive the speech as opposed to perceive you, which is, I think, a different thing.
Okay, so that you're not concerned or anxious about the possibility that if they see you stammering, that they may infer from that there's something wrong with you or something like that. So you're saying it's not that?
Oh no, I'm saying it is that.
It is that?
What I'm saying is it isn't anything to do about being in front of another person.
No.
It isn't about anything to do about being in that room with the other person.
Yeah, sure.
It's about how they perceive the speech. Not how they perceive you yourself.
So, for example, do you find sometimes when you're stammering that you're not confident that the person will understand what you're trying to say?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that is a good example, which is you are concerned that the other person will not understand what the message is that you are trying to get across.
And so the more concerned you are about that possibility that they won't understand, the more likely you are to stammer.
Yes, yeah. Although I'm not sure if I would say that brings up more thoughts that you are about trying to speak, or about trying to be more clearer, or as clear as possible in that situation.
Yeah. So does that mean that how severely you stammer depends very much on who you're talking to?
I think it can be and it can't be, because I can speak to some people one day and struggle,
Yeah.
and I can speak to the same person the next day and be completely fluent. So it's possibly also got to do with what the actual topic is of conversation.
Yeah.
And again, it's about getting the point across. So perhaps if it's a point that is important, that makes the difference.
Yes.
But I think that the key thing is it's not about the person, because there's no anxiousness about being in front of anybody. So it's not the person as such. It's how I think they will perceive the speech, not how they will perceive me, which is a different subject.